Yo, guys, Justin Jaynes with the 10-7 here. And if you guys are anything like me, I am so sick of these high-level fighters losing. And then after the fight, they lose and they have to come out and say, oh, I was dealing with illness. I was dealing with an injury. I was dealing with this. I was dealing with that. You know, it's just becoming a little too common for my liking. Now, look, in the sport of MMA, we get injured, we get hurt. I mean, we're physically fighting each other, especially if you're at gyms like Syndicate, if you're at gyms like Extreme Couture, Jackson Wink, Alpha Male. Like, you're competing with top level guys every single day. Hurtsies and injuries are inevitable in the sport. They're going to happen. But if you lose, guys, we can't just, come up with these ideas. And, it's like, I'm just sick of these fighters having, they're losing and they always have an excuse. I look back at my brief stint in the UFC, 4 out of my 5 fights were on short notice. You didn't hear me coming out to the press, all those short notice. When I fought Gabriel Benitez, him and I both had COVID. I couldn't train for 2 weeks. The matchmaker asked when I would be cleared from COVID. I told him the date, and then he scheduled the fight for the very next weekend. So let me explain this to you. I had COVID for 2 weeks. I couldn't train. I couldn't leave my house. When the UFC found out what day I would be cleared, they scheduled the bout for the following weekend, meaning I was cleared on Friday. And then the following Friday, I had to weigh in to fight Gabriel Benitez. I was compromised for 2 weeks. I couldn't train for 2 weeks. When I fought Devontae Smith, I had a rib injury. All right. The UFC called and said, do you want this fight? I said, I'm battling an injury right now. They said, if you don't take this fight, we're going to cut you. All right. So I was out of shape. I had an injury and I had to go in there and put on the performance. Guys, this is a very common theme in the UFC. We always are fighting injured. This happens all the time. The only full camp I had in my 5 fights in the UFC was the Charles Rosa fight. And it was the fight that I put $25,000 on because I assumed, having a perfect, actually, and the week of the Charles Rosa fight, I was drilling and I got cut above the eye. Obviously didn't make a difference in the fight, but guys, you have Ankalaev coming out saying he had a broken rib. The fight before when he beat Alex Pereira, I had a broken hand. This whole thing, guys, if you guys are fighting for the championship or you're fighting for top contendership and you're risking it all with a rib injury, especially with the style. I'm so sorry. Not Ankalaev. Ankalaev did say he was injured, but I'm referring to this last weekend. I'm talking about RDR. RDR comes out and says he has a broken rib going into this fight. It's considering Ankalaev, considering RDR's style, his grappling heavy, his wrestling heavy style, why would you take this fight? And that just makes me think the UFC is making him take this fight, which I can't see that happening. But you have your manager and your coaches to look after you as well. So why aren't these guys looking out for you? Guys, I don't know. I'm just sick of these high-level guys. Every time they lose, no matter who they are, oh, well, I went into that fight with an injury. We're always injured. We're always, having a bad weight cut. There's all this adversity we have to face in fighting day in day, week in week. Could be maybe our diet. Could be maybe our hydration. Could be maybe a nagging injury from before. Could be if you are coming in as a grappling, wrestling heavy base like RDR, and you're coming in to fight another grappler like Brendan Allen with a broken rib, like that's just ridiculous. That's piss poor planning. That your coaches aren't looking out for you. Your management isn't looking out for you. Like, unless the UFC is saying you have to do this, which they will do, and they did to me, you have to or else. I can understand that. But when you're in a position like RDR and you're coming in razor hot, you're on a win streak, like, why are you taking this risk of a fight? Go back, recover. The UFC has incredible medical staff at the UFC PI. Get taken care of to make sure you're showing up to at least 85, 90% when it comes fight day. But you cannot come in with a broken rib. Guys, I'm sick of guys losing. and then blaming it on some nagging injury they have. I'm sure the fans are too, but it seems like it's such a common trend now. Before, it was hit or miss. Guys, if you are coming into a fight with an injury and you lose, don't talk about it. It just sounds stupid. I know you guys are looking for immediate rematches. RDR's calling for the immediate rematch. Hey, you're calling for an immediate rematch, but you have a broken rib. You can't have an immediate rematch. It'll be the same outcome. And now that Brendan Allen knows that you have a broken rib, like, don't you think he's going to be focused on his body shots more for an immediate rematch? Come on. Guys, this take of injuries is just getting out of control. It's happening every single weekend, and personally, I'm sick of it. Habib said it best. If you have an injury and you take a fight and you win, talk about the injury that you overcame. But if you lose, stop making excuses. Guys, tell me what you think about this take in the comments.